right, what's going on, everybody? It is Chad Minton and Max Greenberg, episode 240 of Catfish on Ice. How you doing, Max? How you doing, man? It's the dead part of the offseason, as we know.
The dog days of the offseason. No, I'm doing good. And honestly, I'm still, if you can believe, I'm still kind of reeling from free agency. I literally 3 weeks later, I still can't believe everything came the way it was.
You got to dig deep right now to find stuff. It's definitely the slowest time of the year on the NHL calendar, and it's such perfect timing because the rest of the world is just going absolutely crazy right now. We're not going to get into that, obviously, but we're going to try. We're going to try to give everybody an off-ramp here tonight and talk a little hockey, even though it's the dead part of the offseason. We are brought to you by DraftKings, and we've also got another amazing sponsor jumping on board with us. We are sponsored by BetterHelp. We will tell you more about those two amazing sponsors in the middle of our episode tonight and tell you the offers we have with both of those amazing companies that are sponsoring episode 240 of Catfish on Ice. So with that said, let's tell everybody what we have planned for tonight. First and foremost, the questions coming up. Now that the dust has settled, now that we've had time to process what Barry Trotz has done and how aggressive he has been in both of his off seasons so far, we're going to really start looking at beyond 24-25, look beyond that, revisit the question that I brought up a few episodes ago that we still haven't really answered, which is the youth movement that we've been talking about for so long, is it officially dead? Is it done? Is Barry Trotz put all of his chips on the table, or is he playing a little bit of both sides of the fence here? We're going to get into that. We're going to look way down the road at some contracts that are going to be coming up down the road. We do know that the core of this roster is locked in for what looks to be, 2027, 28 is when we really got to start thinking about.
Next 3 to 5 years, yeah.
So we're going to have to answer this question. Has Barry Trotz officially opened back up the Stanley Cup window, or are we kind of prisoners of the moment right here? We're also, with that, going to give some serious predictions for 2024-25, because why not throw out some predictions when we got nothing else going on right now? So me and Max are both going to put on the screen. We have not really talked about this together. He actually doesn't even know my predictions. He sent me his because I had to put it on the screen for him. I had to make a little graphic up. But we're going to put on the screen our predictions on who leads the team in points, who leads the team in goals, who leads the team in assists, where do the Preds finish in the division, how many points will they have in the standings, and we also did our own prediction on what we think Steven Stamkos will do in his first season with the Preds. So we will dish out those predictions. Throw us down in the comments there what you think. Also, we got a little bit of bad news. So I'm a little mad at Elon Musk tonight. I just found out that you got to have a premium account to go live on X now.
That is why I was waiting on Twitter, because usually my notifications say whenever Catfish on Ice has their episodes, I always retweet, hop in live. That's why it didn't come on tonight. I was waiting for it. I was going to ask you at the end of this episode, what's up with that?
Yeah, it just notified me when we went on. When I clicked go live, it shot up these boxes that says you have to have a premium account. I have never paid for the blue check mark and don't plan on it.
I mean, no judging anyone who does. I personally don't.
But it is a little bit of a letdown that we can no longer stream live on X. I might look into it for the podcast account because we do get a huge chunk of our audience from streaming live on X. But right now, I'm a little upset at the world's richest man in the world, which is Elon Musk, because this guy needs any more money. Come on now. Come on, Elon.
I mean, I don't think he's ever pissed me off more than, not this year, but last year, 2023 free agency. Remember the day where literally tweets, you could only have it read a certain amount of tweets per hour or whatever. I literally didn't see any news on Twitter, and I had to go it was a mess.
Lucky for us, I did tweet out the YouTube channel link an hour before we went live tonight. And for all of our listeners who listen on our podcast platforms, if you don't subscribe to us on YouTube yet, please do so. It helps out a ton. We're trying to grow the YouTube channel. We're trying to make it fun to where we can get this huge community. We've grown a lot of subscribers lately. Max has gotten some of his friends and family on board as well to join the podcast. And so we're trying to build those subscribers. That way Elon can't mess with us anymore because we'll just put it all on YouTube.
We don't let Elon know. Elon's not going to stop us from achieving greatness.
And we're also streaming live on Facebook as well. So if you're still the old school Facebook user, then no shame in that. You can watch us on Facebook as well. But after we do the predictions there and really put ourselves out there to probably be wrong, when it's all said and done, but we're
I know
going to
we
try
have
it. We're going to try
Everyone's
anyway.
wrong prediction-wise.
We got to get into some Preds news that's going on right now, which is, of course, Spencer Stastney. The arbitration negotiations are going on. Have you seen any updates, Max, since Elliot Friedman put out what's going on there?
No, I don't. I haven't heard much at all. I heard a little, like, nothing verified or anything. I heard a rumor that maybe that his hearing was today, so we should hear news soon, but I haven't heard anything officially since we heard, and I forgot exactly what the amounts were, but since we heard, where Stastney stood and where the Preds stood, I've not heard anything official other than that.
So basically, we're going to break it down a little bit more, but basically where we're at with it, which shouldn't shock too many people, is the Preds went out and spent a lot of money to get these big home run hitters, and so now it's really tricky to even sign a player to a minimum deal, and that's kind of where we're at. Stastney would like a one-way deal. The Preds would like the two-way deal because it gives them more flexibility with where they're at right now. But we all agree that Spencer Stastney should be on the NHL level, and yes. I'm sure the Preds brass feel the same way. But it's just, this is what happens when you go out and spend the big money. It makes it more difficult. So they got some negotiations to do there, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Also, a lot of hype is going on about the Predators right now, as you would expect when you go out and sign Steven Stamkos and the other players they signed, on top of a UC Saros massive extension. So, but what's getting a lot of hype right now, NHL Network's talking about it, a lot of writers are talking about it. It is what could be an unstoppable, elite, top-end power play,
which the Preds have almost never had.
On paper, we have seen, they did finish 6th. A lot of people don't realize 21-22 last year, John Hines, or second to last year of John Hines. The Preds did finish 6th.
That year was a really good year. Yes,
they finished 6th in the power play. Yes. But historically, you are absolutely right, Max. This has never been a team that's confused with being a great power play.
Is not as good as this one.
No, of course not. But
obviously the team.
But on paper, this power play unit, just the top unit alone, is going to be stacked. But we don't know exactly that's exactly how it's going to go. For all we know, Andrew Burnett's going to want to spread out the love a little bit, put a little bit on the second unit, maybe give a younger player a chance to play on the top unit. We don't know. He might want to take the approach of having a more balanced top unit and second unit, or he might take the old school approach of just putting all of your big guns on the top unit and they never leave the ice. We really don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him for that at all. And we just talked about the team in 21-22. Well, that first unit the Preds had that year was really good, but after if they couldn't score, it was like the second unit couldn't do anything. So no, that definitely, I would definitely understand if Brunette wanted to kind of spread the wealth.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are going to round out this episode getting back into Yaroslav Askarov, and of course, some possible trade destinations are actually popping up now for Askarov, and this kind of ties back into the Stastney situation here. We all kind of agree that at some point, Trotz is going to have to clear some cap space through a trade. Yes. It just seems inevitable. We don't know when.
And not Askarov. We're talking, like, as we talked about, like someone like Dante Fabro, even Cody Glass.
Or even Cody Glass. I was going to bring up Cody Glass, definitely. Yeah, Askarov wouldn't be traded for that reason. He would be traded for a much bigger purpose and a much bigger return player.
And he's not clearing hardly any cap at all anymore.
No, he's not clearing. Yeah. All right. So with that said, we do got our buddy Predemption watching on YouTube, so we appreciate you. And he says Puckpedia, which is the new go-to source now for since Cap Friendly is no longer with us. Puckpedia is reporting Spencer's arbitration hearing was completed this morning. I got to think we'll hear something tomorrow, Wednesday at the latest. Thank you for the breaking news reporter that is Predemption. We got to give him that title for Catfish on Ice.
No, absolutely.
He's our official sideline reporter.
No, he brings all this stuff. We literally call him the encyclopedia of the Preds.
He is. He's the Preds encyclopedia of the podcast for sure. All right. So with that said, again, brought to you by DraftKings and BetterHelp. Let's get into it with our first topic, the opening face-off of episode 240. And that is, of course, getting into... What do we get into, Max? What are we getting into? We're getting into, of course, has Trotz opened up the Stanley Cup window, or has he mortgaged the future and he's going a little too heavy on 2024-25 and maybe even because we do realize that you're banking on Stamkos and Marchessault and these guys to really deliver for you in the early terms of these contracts, not the later end of the contracts.
Absolutely. No, I think, as far as like the youth movement, at the very least, it's taken a pretty big halt right now. Whenever you sign guys like Stamkos, Marchessault and Brady Shea, not saying you're not planning for the future, but you're definitely at that point, you're definitely trying to win right now. I think it's pretty obvious. Trotz seems like he wants to win. As far as has he mortgaged the future, I wouldn't say. I think he has a little, but like I will say, he hasn't traded any of the big name players or prospects like the big young guys we have, Evangelista, like your Spencer Stastneys, your Joachim Kemmel, Svechkovs, those guys in the minors. And I think you could honestly do with trading one of those guys and still have the future intact. But Trotz has not done that. And he has not touched the Preds draft capital at all. Like he used almost every pick this year straight up. And he didn't, and maybe not straight up, but he didn't trade him for like any big name players or anything like that. So, and Trotz also even said on 125 The Game a few weeks ago, like in his perfect vision, he has like the top six pretty much all veterans. Then like the bottom or the middle six to bottom, like top nine, kind of lower second, third line is your younger guys. So it's pretty clear what Trotz wants to do, and I totally understand why. And he makes a lot of really good points. It's basically said, in past years before this one, at least hopefully, that the Preds would have, if they had a hole due to injury or whatever, they'd have a guy, they'd call up a guy from walking and say, hey, you're playing second line or first line. And it's like, well, that's not productive of their development, because when they inevitably make mistakes, they're going to have to be pulled out of their spot and then lose confidence and all that. So I definitely understand what Trotz is doing. And I will say it's not quite what I expected. I don't think it's what a lot of people would have expected. But overall, I think he's done, a reasonable job to kind of keep it in the middle. And it's hard to have your cake and eat it too. But I think Trotz has done what he could there. And again, he's not traded. If he trades a guy like I say Evangelista, then I'll be pretty pissed. But he hasn't done that or even close to it.
So look, the job of a general manager in any sport is to put assemble a roster that it's in the best position to win. It would have been front office malpractice, if you ask me, if Barry Trotz would have sat on his hands and done absolutely nothing in terms of buying this offseason with all of that cap space.
100%.
It would have been malpractice. So he had to do something with all of that cap space. And you just hit it on the head there, Max. He hasn't messed with any of his future assets yet. You look at the upcoming 2025 draft. They've got 2 picks in round 1, 2 picks in round 2, 3 picks in round 3.
Yeah,
now
all day.
Now we expect some of those draft picks in those first 3 rounds might be facilitated in a big trade before those draft picks actually get here in 2025. But at least as of now, he has not messed with any of his draft capital for 2025. So that right there gives you a clear answer that he hasn't mortgaged the future yet, just when you look at the 2025 draft capital. And then let's start looking at some of the future contracts for the Preds and when this thing really can start coming crashing down. So we've talked about Gustav Nyquist for a while now. He could definitely be someone who not only could be traded, but cleared cap space. But me and Max have both come to the agreement that it'd be kind of hard to trade him now after everything you've done, considering how important he is to the top line. You could still do that, though.
I mean, not just to clear cap, though. You're not trading Nyquist just to clear cap. No, you're getting a return for.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't. But you could trade him and clear some cap space, possibly. I don't see it happening, though.
No, I don't think it's just for a clear cap space kind of trade. That absolutely affects your ability to win now.
You look at some free agents coming up in 25, 26, and there's not a lot. You look at the forwards right now, the current forwards that the Preds have right now. They have one unrestricted free agent in 2025, 26, and that is Nyquist. Everyone else is signed. So Trotz has got more than just next season as a window of opportunity here.
And when looking at the future contracts, I feel like I look a little different than you. I was looking in terms of like guys who you absolutely have to keep. The only one where I'm like, okay, I can actually see like a fairly big contract looming, at least compared to what he's making right now. And he's got to prove it too. But I think Luke Evangelista could be in line for a pretty big payday pretty soon. He will be a RFA at the end of next year. And if he keeps up this trajectory, and he's one of those players who I expect is going to continue to get better, he could end up making north of $3 million easy.
He's that'll be his first NHL contract one way. He's still an ELC. Absolutely. It's easy to forget that Evangelista's still on his ELC right now, his entry level contract. Yeah. But I mean, you got Cody Glass, who will be an RFA, which is what makes him easy trade bait right now. And that's $2.5 million in cap space right there if you were to trade him, and you don't see a real clear avenue for him with the future for this team, as much as that hurts a lot of people to hear, because I know he's so beloved by so many fans, but it's just the facts. And then really, you look at it beyond that, Dante Fabro is an unrestricted free agent next season, and that's it. Then all of your other defensemen are also signed throughout next season.
Besides Spencer Stastney, but that's this year though. So.
But we suspect that he'll figure something out here.
Yeah.
My point is, this current team that you're rolling with this season can largely be kept intact for next season as well. Absolutely. So this isn't we're all in for this year, and if it doesn't work out, it's over. And you've got a couple years window of opportunity here to make something happen, and then all of your main top end talented players are really signed for the next 3 years. I mean, once you get into 2026, 27, then all of your depth players start coming up on free agency. Yep. That's a big year of free agency. Colton Sissons will be a free agent by then. Cole Smith will be a free agent. Michael McCarron, Mark Jankowski. I know those aren't big names. Luke Shen will be a free agent by then. Jeremy Lazan,
to the delight of most of the fan base.
Jeremy Lazan will be a free agent by then. But my point is, your core players are signed until like 2027, 28.
Absolutely, no. You got a while. You got a while with this core. No, like I say, the only contract coming that's looming where I'm like, okay, that could be a kicker is Evangelista, relative at least to what he's making right now.
I mean, for sure. So when you answer that question of has he mortgaged the future? I don't think he has at all.
Really.
I think worst case scenario that comes of all this is it's really hard to win a Stanley Cup. And so maybe they don't win a Stanley Cup out of all this, but Barry Trotz is doing everything he can to get this franchise back to being a Stanley Cup contender, and you can't fault the guy for that. And he's not messing with the youth too much. And, Max brings it up. Luke Evangelista is going to be an interesting one to see but I got to think he is a major part of the future.
Absolutely.
And they'll do whatever they can to get him re-signed. So I'm not worried about. I don't see him in trade plans at all.
No.
That would not make sense.
Better not be. That's like one of the few like guys in the youth who I'm like, okay, you have to hang on to him because I am so excited for.
I don't see Juuso Parssinen being traded. I think the franchise still very much believes in Parssinen. The way he took going to Milwaukee in stride, and he's still working his way up, and now it's looked like he's got a really good chance to resurface into the Preds lineup to open the season, which I think he should be. And he might even be your plan B to play the second line if for some reason Tommy Novak.
That's where I'm like, that's lofty.
Well, who else are you going to go with then, Max? I mean, there's not a lot of options.
I know. I mean, this will be controversial, but at least because we know what he does and he's a veteran. I wouldn't rule out Colton Sissons getting up there.
I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but if you had to,
funny because 2 weeks ago I was on here saying maybe he could be trade bait, and I will say I've really changed my mind on that. I would actually.
It's just, Colton Sissons is for what he does and what he brings you. He is not a prototypical second line center.
I was wrong.
But there's just not a lot of options. It's really Tommy Novak, and if not, then someone else is going to have to step up.
Here's one thing I want to say, and we were going to maybe get a little bit because we were going to answer the question, has Trotz opened up a cup window? And I absolutely think he has. And when you look at this Preds roster, they're one piece away in the top six where you're like, okay, that's a top six right there. But here's the thing. Just because you open the season with the roster does not mean you cannot add to it. There's a trade deadline for a reason, and things still happen. I will make a prediction right here. One player that I think is a free agent next year who I think could really potentially, kind of glue this top six together. And I think the Preds absolutely will be a contender to trade for. And I'm actually going to make a prediction. It's going to happen at the trade deadline. Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Going way out there.
Yep. Center. He's had his 3 best years recently, at least 3 of them. Connections with Barry Trotz, playoff success, everything right there the Preds would want.
Mm.
I think they're gonna. I could easily see the Preds making a push to get him to the deadline.
Okay, but I'm about to throw another question about this whole mortgage the future thing. Some critics might argue that Barry Trotz mortgaged the future a little bit by giving UC Saros 8 years, a goalie that, yes, has been a franchise goalie. He's widely regarded as one of the top 5 goalies in the league, definitely. But the guy has still never delivered playoff success.
Right.
I can't say he's a failure in the playoffs.
Right.
He's unproven in the playoffs. He actually put up good numbers against the Canucks. He got no goal support.
He did.
But to put 8 years on a guy, I think the actual AAV came out pretty fair.
Yes.
But that's a long time. So some would argue that maybe Barry Trotz went a little too far down the deep end on UC Saros.
And I can see that, but I really honestly think that Trotz was in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because we saw the goaltender market this offseason was not favorable at all. And Trotz was like, okay. And I said this very line I'm about to say in an article that I wrote about it. He almost surely would have lost trade negotiations, but he won contract negotiations because he got Saros under $8 million AAV. And with that, I really don't blame him that much. I mean, it's not my first choice I would have gone. I still, in a vacuum, probably would have made that trade. But again, like I say, I was expecting way more in a return that he would have gotten. And yeah, I mean, it was truly a tricky situation, but it seemed like Saros really wanted to be here. And again, it was under the number that we thought it was going to be. So I get it.
Yeah. All right. Definitely. But I think me and Max both agree that he hasn't mortgaged the future, but other stuff could happen that might tweak our minds, our opinions a little bit.
Honestly, say something, and this may be a little controversial. I kind of want Trotz to mess with that draft a little bit. You have so much draft capital, and you have more picks than you know what to do with the amount of players that have been drafted in the past 2 years. You get rid of one of them. Trade for a player.
I'm going to go out on a limb here then, since the theme of this episode is we're making bold predictions. I would be very surprised sitting here in the middle of July, so way ahead of the curve here, but I would be shocked if one of those first round picks does not move at the trade deadline in 2025 to get another big time player.
I can very much see it.
You can package that first round pick for a pretty big. Let's say Trotz sees this team and what it's producing. It's right there on the edge. It's playing well.
Yep.
It's maybe even in the playoff hunt. Maybe it's firmly. Let's say the Preds are firmly in the top 3 of the division, competing for a division title and competing for home ice advantage, but they still need one more piece. And Trotz is like, look, what's the point in keeping all these draft picks now when I'm right here? Yeah. Let's go get whatever player I'm looking for at the time there, and I'm going to throw one of these first round picks in there.
Exhibit A, Brock Nelson, get him. Use a first round pick to do it.
He's got so much draft capital. He's got it. He's going to use some of it. You got to think he's going to use some of it.
He's got to at some point.
All right, good stuff there. More to be seen. Barry Trotz always keeps us on the edge of our seat, and that's a great general manager. We know he's such a savvy mind. He really is. So
and he clearly has a type: winners and guys who are successful in the playoffs when it comes down to it.
All right, so with that, let's move along here in episode 240, and let's start dishing out some predictions here. Let's go with the first one. We actually put this on social media. And that is, we asked our followers, who is going to lead the Preds in points in 2024-25? Let's get it on the screen for our YouTube viewers and our Facebook viewers. That was the post there. So we just put the top 4 that you would think of first, but I love wild card picks. I love going down the rabbit hole and picking someone else. We'll put our full predictions list on the screen after we share this, but let's answer this first question, Max, and that is, who leads the Preds in points? I put up on the screen here Steven Stamkos, Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi, and Jonathan Marchessault. But there's other guys you could throw in there. I think you could maybe throw in Ryan O'Reilly because he gets so many assists and he does so good on the power play. But it really comes down to those 4, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Boring answer for me. I think it's Forsberg leads him in points.
You think so? You think the incumbent retains it, even with all this other star power coming in?
I sure do.
All right, and so we'll put it on the screen a little bit here what your exact point total was, but let me give you mine. I actually am going a little on a limb here.
Oh,
I'm going Jonathan Marchessault.
Ooh, interesting.
But my caveat here is I think that this team is going to be very, very balanced. This is going to be a pick your poison. I think the love is going to be spread across this team. Just because I got Marchessault leading the team in points possibly doesn't mean that I think the other three aren't going to also be right up there. I think this is going to be a four-headed attack, if you will. Yeah. And it's going to be, for defenses, it's going to be pick your poison. And it's going to be a really difficult top six to deal with. And that's what Barry Trotz's thinking was when he went out and made these big purchases here. But I'm going to go Jonathan Marchessault. The reason why I do that is because the guy is just such, I think he's going to be kind of under the radar on this team a little bit. I think he's going to kind of slip in and just find ways to score. He put up 42 goals this past season, a career high. He's going to get some power play looks. He's never been a huge power play producer, but I think he's going to definitely produce on Andrew Burnett's power play system, especially if he gets on the top unit. I don't know. I just have a feeling Marchessault is going to have another big time year with the Predators, scoring some goals. And I see his assist numbers being good, playing on a line possibly with Steven Stamkos and even Tommy Novak, if that ends up being the line he's on. I don't know. I got a weird feeling. I'm going Marchessault. I know it's a pretty out there pick over the other three, but I got Marchessault leading the team in points.
I mean, I could absolutely see it because, he plays the way that Andrew Burnett seems to want his guys to play, where he's obviously a lot of offensive skill, but he's tenacious and good on the boards and stuff. So I very much could see it.
And let me give you, so Max, what is your total? What's your total point score for for Forsberg? What do you have him finishing with? How many points?
I said he gets 92 total points.
Okay, another 90-plus point season for Forsberg, back-to-back 90-plus point seasons. So, what's your thinking behind Forsberg? Do you think that he basically just do you see his game changing at all with this new team, or do you think that basically he's just going to rinse and repeat what he did last year?
I think, honestly, last year his game kind of evolved in terms of, we've known Forsberg as a good shooter and scorer, but I thought he really took a step forward as far as being a playmaker on this team. And I think you could potentially see, maybe he scored 48 goals here. You can see that dip a little bit, but I think he could be even more of a distributor and a playmaker and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right in Forsberg there. And I think out of the guys you just showed, everyone on this team, though, I think he's, in terms of just off, I'm not saying a total player, but I think he's the most complete in terms of pure offense. So that's my thought process right there.
I mean, we really saw his game grow with his assists. So we got it on the screen here. These are all of your predictions, and I'm about to list them all off here. But there you have it. Leader in points, Forsberg with 92. That's according to Max Greenberg. Let's go with goals here. Leader in goals, Max also has Forsberg with 45. So a little bit less than what he just did this past year, but still another big-time year scoring.
Absolutely.
Leader in assist, Max has got Roman Josi with 53. That's a really, really safe bet. That's a
very safe bet to get Josi up to score.
I mean, think about all the power play assists that Yossi's probably going to pile up this year.
I mean, he's still the facilitator of this offense from the back end. So absolutely is my prediction for assists right there.
All right, you got Forsberg with 92. Let's go with your Stamkos goals and assists prediction. Tell us what you got there.
Yeah, no, I think that, with the way the we know Stamkos is with the goal scoring, I think that the Preds are really going to try and put him in a position to showcase that. That's a big reason why they signed him. So I think he's going to be another 40 goal scorer. I think there'll be 2 40 goal scorers on the Preds this year, him, Stamkos, and Forsberg. I think he'll do fine assist-wise, so I definitely think he's going to be more of a scorer. That's why I have a little bit less in terms of assists. So, yeah, there's what I got with Stamkos.
So, Stamkos, 41 goals, 37 assists. That's Max's prediction, which comes out to 68 points. So, still
78 points.
Or 78 points, yeah. So, sorry. I docked 10 points off Stamkos already. Gosh, I'm so horrible. All right, that's a pretty strong if Stamkos finishes with 78 points in his first year with the Preds, that's your money's worth right there for sure.
Absolutely. 40
There's
goals,
a lot of
absolutely.
critics out there who think Stamkos isn't going to be able to replicate what he was doing in Tampa now that he's going to the Preds. I think that would shut a lot of people up if he put up 78 points. And then here is the big one. Max, tell everybody where you got the Preds finishing in terms of points in the standings and where they finish in the division.
Yep. So I think the Preds, like you see on the screen there, 107 points, second in the Central Division behind the Dallas Stars. I think the way this Preds team is going to be is, whether it's at the beginning of the season or wherever it is, I think you're going to see maybe a little bit of a rough patch here and there with so many new faces in the lineup. There's going to be sometimes, chemistry could be a little down, inevitable in the 82-game season. But overall, I think this team is trending upward, and I think you definitely see past 100 points. I think 8 points past what the Preds got last year. I think it's a fairly safe bet. And also, second division, I still don't think the Preds are quite on the level of Dallas Stars yet. I think they win the Central Division again for the third straight year. I think excuse me. I think Colorado won in 20. Whatever, we you know what I'm talking about here.
You know what you're talking about.
The Preds are going to finish right behind the Stars. A lot of people might disagree with me thinking Colorado is going to end up above the Preds. I don't know. I have the feeling that Colorado is trending downward a little bit, from where they were, which obviously hard to be as good as they were when they won the Stanley Cup. That was a really, really good team. But I think with where the two franchises are heading, I think the Preds are going to go right above there. So that's what I got.
All right. And if Max's prediction were to come true with 107 points, that would be the third highest point total in a season in Preds history. The only other two better seasons, they had 117 points in their President's Trophy year, and they had 110 points in 2006-2007. Wow. So that would be certainly one of the best regular seasons in Preds history if they were to finish with 107 points. So there you have it with that. Let's get my predictions on the screen. I think those are some good predictions, Max. I really do. Some fair predictions, but some lofty predictions, if you will.
They are. Undoubtedly,
but hey, you got to have lofty predictions when you do what Barry Trotz did.
Exactly what I was going to say. Whenever you make signings like that, you expect big things.
All right, let's get mine up. We're not too far off, but we are. I am a little bit more. I'm not as bullish as you are on some of, at least on my Preds prediction of where they finish in the standings. But I still got them being really good, so we're going to put it on the screen here. We're putting ourselves out there, everybody. We've always done this on the podcast. We've always shared our predictions for people, and it's always fun because then we'll probably later in the season we'll revisit them and we'll see how wrong we actually were. But here's mine. All right, leader in goals. I already put that out there. I said it was going to be Marchessault with 39 assists. I got Yossi with 54. I think Max, you had
identical right there.
Leader in points. You might think I'm giving no love to Forsberg. I just think that a lot of pressure is going to be taken off him, and he's not going to have to be the guy who carries the team every night. It doesn't mean I think he's going to have a bad year. I just think that he's not going to have to produce quite as much. A lot of pressure is going to be taken off him. I still got him up there, but I've actually got Stamkos leading the team in points with 80. Like I said it when I was talking about Marchessault. I think this team is going to be very spread out when it comes to production. It's going to be one of the most balanced scoring teams this Preds team has ever had.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of my argument there. So I got Stamkos with 80 points. Break that down for you. Goals and assists. I've got 35 goals for Stamkos. I actually got Stamkos really having a good year with assists. I think he's going to make
surprising to me. I'm not going to lie.
I got him making everyone else around him a little bit better. He's going to have. I see him getting a lot of assists on the power play. I really do. So I just think that he is going to be a little bit different of a point scorer than he was with Tampa. I think he's going to be much more of a. I won't be surprised at all if we do have to at some point see Stamkos at center. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I know that's not where they would prefer to put him, but it might have to happen. They might not have a choice. If for some reason Novak's not working out or someone else isn't working out in that role, they might have to, that's their plan B most likely is, okay, we got to put you at center. Yeah, and it's not like he can't play center. If he does end up getting some center time on the second line, we'll definitely expect him to get a lot of assists. True. So that's kind of my thinking there. Again, I'm going out on a limb here with some of these, But we'll see. And then here's the big one. Preds finished with 102 points. Not too much for lower than what Max has at 107, but I got him at 102 points. I got him finishing third in the division just because I think that this division is so stacked. And it's not just Colorado and Dallas, but I could even see Winnipeg sticking around this year again. So it's gonna be a tight battle. It's gonna be a tight battle. I think that the Preds might get off to a little bit of a sluggish start, and so they'll have a little bit of ground to make up. They'll finish strong, and really, my focus isn't even really so much hell-bent on where this team finishes in the regular season as long as they make the playoffs. It would kind of be a letdown if they can't at least finish in the top 3 and avoid that wild card round, but at the same time, really, my focus on this team is not going to really be zeroed in on them until they make the playoffs, and then let's see what they can do once they're in. This roster is built to win a first-round series and go farther than a first-round series. I'm talking like conference finals is like the bar I got for this team.
No,
but
you better win a series at least.
But I do think that they're gonna have to work some kinks out, just like they did last year, and it's gonna take a little bit of time. The only thing we got working for us is it's year 2 for Andrew Burnett, so we're not going through a new head coaching change. But we got some new pieces in there, so it's going to take some time. They've already hinted at, even Trotz said, look, we could go through a slow start. So I think they're going to have some points to make up to reach that 107 point or beyond. I think they've got a 107 point, 110 point caliber roster, but they're going to have to make up some ground. So I'm going the very conservative prediction of 102 points, and I got them finishing third in the Central. As chalk as it might seem, I got Dallas and Colorado finishing just ahead of the Preds.
There you go.
It is chalk. I'm sorry, but, it's really hard to pick anyone else in the Central to really...
It is.
To move past, though, I think your top 3 is pretty set right now on paper.
I think so, too.
Preds, Avs, Stars. Once you get past the top 3, Winnipeg still has an argument to make. But once you get past some of these other teams, they just didn't do a lot in the offseason to get you excited about them. Who knows what Minnesota's going to look like. But
they're a weird one to predict.
St. Louis didn't do a whole lot either to get better, and they were very mediocre last year. And then you've got the teams that are rebuilding. We already talked about it in a previous episode, but we talked about what these teams did in free agency, and it wasn't a whole lot of anything.
Right. I mean, Chicago had a pretty good free agency, but again, that team has so much ground to make up from where they were. So,
all right, so there's our predictions there. Let me get on our Twitter account and the one that we can't stream live anymore because we're not premium.
Right.
So messed up. All right, but I do want to share some responses. We got a lot of we got almost 4,000 views on the post asking about that question, who will lead the Preds in points 2024 and 25. Our buddy Matt Hardesty, of course, he says hopefully Zegras or Nietzsche's
is on the team.
Yeah, he's been one of them.
That'd be nice. It's going to be hard at this point, but it'd be really nice, especially Zegras.
Let's see. We got a lot of love for Forsberg, as you would expect. Did you get Barry Trotz? Said on X. Philip. Rob said my hero for sure and said Forsberg. Another Forsberg vote here. We do have a vote for Stamkos here. Barney Fife, Bloodhound, says it's going to be Stammer. We about to see what truly elite scoring looks like. Genie on X says still going to be Forsberg. King Kairos says Forsberg, and it ain't close.
Ooh, ain't close.
We got a vote for Ryan O'Reilly here. Joshua Hobbs on X says Ryan O'Reilly. A lot of Forsberg love here. Ricky says Roman Yossi, but honestly, there's no telling. I can't wait to see it. Okay, we got a little trolling going on here. Jack on X says Cole Smith.
That would be something.
We got a vote for Saros to lead the team in points. You guys are really good here. Let's see. Bobber votes for Novak. I don't think this person's actually joking. I think they're really seriously going with Novak.
That would be something.
So I respect going out on a limb here. I really do. The Smashville Shuckle. I love reading these names. The Smashville Shuckle says, "Good old Big Sexy gonna drop a 500 bomb on us."
Big Sexy.
And then shocker of the century. In fact, X marked it as spam, but under the name of Marchessault, this person voted Jonathan Marchessault.
Naturally.
Wonder if it's his burner account. He joined in July of 2024, so I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe Jonathan Marchessault just created a burner account.
Who knows?
And he voted for himself. All right, fun stuff. Thank you all for all those comments. Got a big kick out of it. But I can't see UC Saros leading the team in points. I'm so sorry, guys.
Man.
I think that prediction is going to be a little bit off.
Tough.
All right, let's go ahead. Now that we're in the middle of episode 240, let's go ahead and tell you about our sponsor, brought to you by BetterHelp, our newest sponsor of the podcast. So happy to have BetterHelp on board. Such an amazing company. And look, with everything going on in the world, we bring this show to you on social media, but social media can be a very toxic place at times. There's things going on in the world. Sometimes, including myself, you want to compare yourself to other people. You wonder why you can't do certain things. Everyone sometimes needs to just talk to somebody. Sometimes people just need that lending hand and that ear to listen to. So that's what BetterHelp is all about. It's all about getting that help that you may need and having someone listen to the things that you need. If you've benefited from therapy, then BetterHelp is there for you. It's a great program. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/THPN. It's online. You can do a free questionnaire. It's a great way to get some help. BetterHelp.com. All right, and we're going to tell you about DraftKings here in a little bit. Before we do that, let's give you an update on Spencer Stastney and what's going on. So Elliot Friedman put out a couple days ago where the two sides are, and it's basically pretty simple. The Preds came out with a two-way deal for 2 years at $750,000, and Spencer Stastney's camp wants 1 year, one way, $950K. And with the Preds up against the cap, the Preds basically have no money to spend. They have like $500,000 and some change, which is basically no money to do anything. So where do you see this going, Max? Do you think that they're going to have to go the two-way deal route? Do you think they win this arbitration case? Because when you look at Spencer Stastney, we know that he's a quality everyday starter, but he also doesn't have a ton of NHL experience. I think he's got 28 games under his belt.
Not at all.
28 games.
I think certainly that, them the Preds playing him in the playoffs last year when he was healthy says a lot, and I think that's something I'm surely something that Spencer Stastney and his camp are using as leverage right now in negotiations. Naturally, I'm not an expert on how the arbitration works, but I would think if we're meeting in the middle here, I think it could be something about 1 year, two-way. That way, both sides kind of get what they want. The Preds get, the two-way deal, but Stastney gets his 1 year. So then next year, if he does really well, he can get that one-way contract and cash in even bigger. So I think that, it's probably going to hopefully something in the middle of what the two sides want. But, as far as cap space goes, again, Trotz is still yet to, make any trades as we talk about a clear cap space, such as, we talk about Dante Fabro and Cody Glass, each are with a cap hit of $2.5 million this year. And if one of them gets dealt or somehow off the team, that's going to create a good bit of room. And Spencer Stastney obviously will have that room to be on the team. Me personally, I hope this doesn't get messy because obviously in my armchair GM ways and predicting things that happen, I was willing to give Stastney 2 years at just north of $1 million a year. That's probably not going to happen at this point. But I think that hopefully it gets done as painless as possible, but I could see something in the middle of a 1 year contract, but a two-way, so both sides kind of get what they want.
Yeah, That's a good way to put it for sure. I think he ends up having to get a two-way deal
I think so.
to make this work.
I think
and he's still going to be a major part of the starting lineup. You expect him to be on the bottom pairing game one of the season with probably Luke Shen.
Yep.
And they actually were not a bad little combo.
I think they complement each other well, to be honest.
And it was kind of nice to have a guy like Luke Shen as kind of the protector.
Yeah.
The bruiser. Whereas, Stastney's going to move the puck up the ice more. He's going to make more transition offense. He's going to make more things happen. But I really liked Stastney kind of having that protection from Shen on that pairing. And I think that could definitely work out again. You got to be really excited about what your potential top six defense looks like. And then your seventh defenseman is probably Fabro. So you got to feel really good about where we're at here. You got to get this done quick, though. It shouldn't get too ugly. I wouldn't expect it to. It's just one of those things that they have to deal with behind closed doors. It gets complicated. What's that?
I'd say it happens.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. I totally see where Stastny's coming from in his camp and his agent and them wanting a one-way deal for the 1 year, but I definitely see where Nashville's at too.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where the arbitrator comes on that. We'll probably find out at some point in the next day or two.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely in the next week.
All right, let's move along here. Let's talk about another young player in the organization, and that is Yaroslav Askarov. We're starting to see potential trade destinations. A big one is the San Jose Sharks, Max.
That's a big one. I've heard them too. Another big one, and I heard a rumor. I can't guarantee how verified it was. I heard a potential scenario there where Askarov to Columbus for some kind of deal that involves Kenton Johnson, which that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Columbus is a real that's the other team I was going to bring up. Columbus and San Jose are coming up because those are two teams that they're very young. San Jose's probably got a lot longer ways to go than Columbus does, but both of them have good-looking prospect pools. Both franchises realize where they're at. They're in deep rebuild mode. They got a ways to go, and what better time than now to go get your future franchise goalie, bring a guy like Askarov in, give him probably half the starts with whichever goalie they have in there, and just let him go through the growing pains. It's not the end of the world if Askarov goes to one of these teams, San Jose or Columbus, and maybe he has a rough time, but you're getting him that experience. The thinking behind those two teams is, look, we're rebuilding anyway, so why not get a young goalie in there who's got a promising future? And if you're looking at it from Nashville's point of view, if they trade with one of those two teams, they can pluck out of those prospect pools and get themselves a really good player for their prospect pool. They could, down the road, 3 or 4 years from now, come into the lineup as a big-time player because that's what Trotz wants. Trotz has already said his asking price is he wants a top-end equal value prospect to Askarov's value.
Something, prospect, even if it's like high draft picks, whatever, something, he wants something for Askarov. He's not just going to trade him for
no, of course
nothing and be like, oh, give up, whatever. And, when I heard about, the Saros extension, I'm like, okay, Saros, you got to probably trade Askarov pretty quickly. But, but after, knowing what it was, the situation, especially hearing Trotz say, we're going to keep being him in Milwaukee would better than keeping him in Nashville where he's going to be a backup. So, the Preds really don't have to make a move. They don't, unless they find something they really want. So, no, Trotz is absolutely right to try to hold out for a package he really likes.
And, of course, we've talked about it. If you don't trade him right away, there's nothing wrong with that. Right. He can start the season in Milwaukee and continue to boost his value there. We already know he's already had back-to-back seasons with the Admirals putting up tremendous numbers. So we know that even though I know Askarov doesn't want to be in the AHL anymore and he believes he should be in the NHL by now, we do know that if you have to put him in the AHL again, he should. And, the Admirals should have another good team in front of him too. So it's not like he's going to a really bad minor league team where he's going to get exposed every night and it's just going to damage his confidence. So, you can really stretch this out deep into the season if you have to until you get the deal you want.
I mean, Trotz said, his direct quote, "You can never over-marinate these goaltender prospects."
Absolutely not.
Yep.
No way. All right. So we will see what happens with that. Again, we're going to have to wait and see a little bit here, but we'll find it out soon enough. All right. And then let's get to all the hype that's surrounding the Preds power play real quick. Max, top unit. We talked about at the beginning of the episode. Would you like to spread out the love, or do you want all your big guns on the top unit?
It's hard to really say. I mean, I think you have to at least have, Josi and Forsberg up there along with Stamkos and O'Reilly. That last spot's kind of the question. Do you throw Marceau in there, or do you, put Nyquist in there, who has chemistry with Forsberg and O'Reilly? I don't know. Coming into the episode, I was thinking, okay, you keep Marceau there, but I'm kind of leaning towards just putting Nyquist back up there and kind of spreading out that wealth. Again, like I just said, Forsberg, O'Reilly, Nyquist already have that chemistry. And of course, they're not going to be a direct line like that necessarily on the power play, but still, like, they have a lot of experience playing together. I don't know. I could kind of see that.
So there's what's projected. You got Roman Josi, Steven Stamkos, Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Jonathan Marchessault. You put a unit like that out there, they're not going to leave the ice very often. They're going to be out there for most of the power play. And the goal is that even if they don't score, they need to be putting all types of pressure on that team's penalty kill. They need to spend the vast majority of that time in that team zone. How many times did we see last year in the inconsistencies of the power play? There would be stretches where the Preds power play couldn't even get in the zone and set up.
And that's the thing you got to, hope is going to get better. You got to get into the zone. And again, just having more talent like Stamkos, Marceau means you're going to get more guys, the penalty kill is going to be, we talk about the wealth being spread out. Well, I guess in the wealth of their attention, as if you will, is going to be spread among the Preds players. So that alone will make it easier. But again, you got to get into the zone. But, just on paper, though, this power play looks like it should easily be the best of the Preds have had in their franchise history.
So I think that to open the season, they're probably going to go with this unit just to see how quickly it picks up. But as things get tweaked, and if they decide to make a little tweak, I would not be against Luke Evangelista getting some top unit love.
That's a good one, absolutely.
And then you could put Marchessault on the second unit with
Nyquist is down there too.
With Nyquist, you could get Tommy Novak on the second unit.
I like that now that you're saying it.
Get Brady Shea on the top unit with his shot. He could be he could be a very quality quarterback.
I don't know about that one. I still definitely think Josi goes first unit.
No, Brady Shea the second unit.
Oh yeah.
No, definitely not Roman Josi. Hell no, he's top unit altogether. No, Brady. No, I'm thinking second unit. If you spread the love, Brady Shea.
Definitely Shea on the second unit.
What's that?
Definitely Shea on the second unit. 100%.
Yeah. If you spread the love, Marchessault, Nyquist, Novak, that gives you 4, and then throw in a 5th guy. I don't even know. We could think about that a little bit more.
Sissons, maybe. I mean, he was on the power play a lot last year.
Maybe Sissons, but then you look at it that way. You've got 2 units that should have very good success.
Absolutely.
You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You put that top unit out there. If they get stymied, if there's a couple timing issues, or maybe they just have a hard time getting set up, you've got a really strong second unit that's going to come right back out there.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm leaning that way. I really am. I think I'm leaning more towards that.
You especially are now talking me into Evangelista on the first unit. I'm kind of buying into that where you talk about it.
But they're going to tweak it. They're going to tweak it around. They definitely are. It's not going to be
injuries from time to time will force them to change. So absolutely, they'll tweak it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, with that said, let's tell you about DraftKings real quick. Know the beautiful thing about being a sports fan, there's only like 2 days the whole year without a game. 2. While so much is happening and so much action, that makes just about every game day at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It really couldn't be any easier, any simpler. Of course, we've got The Olympics about to start, Max.
That's crazy. You're right.
The Summer Olympics. I don't even know how you would begin to bet on the Olympics, but I'm sure it's out there.
Not in my interest.
But I'm more of a Winter Olympics guy myself.
I like them both, but again, not for betting purposes.
But this time of year, it is officially the dead part of the sports calendar. You better be into baseball or soccer.
Well, guess what begins this week?
What begins this week?
NFL training camps begin this week.
Yeah, but that doesn't help you.
Back upon us, baby. And guess
true.
Also, selfishly, guess this Saturday, I'm actually going to Titans open practice at Nissan Stadium, and I can't wait for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have to start getting right back into your Titans talk as well.
100%.
Of course, we do have baseball going on, which, I mean, I don't like to bash baseball. I love going to baseball games in person, but I have a hard time getting into baseball. But DraftKings has all the odds you need for the baseball fans out there. So just looking at your Tuesday action, if you're riding into work today and you're looking to get in on DraftKings with some baseball action, you got the Tigers at the Guardians, you got the Cardinals at the Pirates, Mets at the Yankees. Ooh, it's always fun to see a New York matchup there. That's a good one. Right now, the DraftKings has the Yankees as minus 155 favorites over their New York rivals, the New York Mets, the Subway Series. So you got that. You got the Brewers at the Cubs with a virtual stalemate on the DraftKings app. And you've got the Astros at the Athletics. Have they moved to Vegas yet? The Athletics?
I don't know. I heard. Funny that it shows how much I'm into baseball. I didn't even know until weeks ago they were going to Vegas. So,
and one of the best rivalries in all sports, even if you're not a diehard baseball fan, the Giants and the Dodgers play tomorrow night, and they got the Dodgers as a minus 142 favorite. So there's some of your baseball action to bet on your Tuesday. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get 150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms and responsible gaming resources at dkng.com/baseball. All right, there we have it. Max, have we gotten into everything here in this slow part of the offseason? What am I leaving out?
I think we covered everything. As far as I can tell, we went over pretty much every topic.
We covered everything we have going on. Max, we do got
dog days of the offseason, like you say.
Max, we're going to bring back Titans talk, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So can you at least give us a little bit of an insider on what we should expect from Titans training camp? Any big storylines going on right now? What can we expect from Will Levis? What is the team looking like right now with their new head coach, Callahan? Just kind of give us the rundown on what training camp's looking like for the Titans.
I think some pretty big things going to watch. I'm definitely watching the right side of the offensive line. I think that's a big that's going to be a big part of competition. Left side is pretty much figured out. They've already said first round pick J.C. Latham's going to play left tackle. Got your left guard Peter Skoronski. You got your new center, which desperately needed. Right guard and right tackle are still question marks. If I had to guess, probably right guard is going to be Sadiq Charles, who free agent pickup, kind of a no-name relatively speaking, but they've talked about Bill Callahan really likes him, and Bill Callahan obviously has the legacy of an offensive line coach, so it's hard to not trust him. My right tackle, it's going to probably be between Nicholas Petit-Ferrer and what's his face, Dylan Radins, but that's going to be a battle right there. Bottom of the receiver depth chart's going to be interesting. I think there's been some talk of Treylon Burks potentially missing. I think he'll make it. I still don't think there's 6 receivers on this team better than Treylon Burks. Kyle Phillips is one I think is going to be interesting. Does he make it? Does he not? That's what I'm a little I'm curious about. The biggest thing I'm looking to see, though, and it's on the defensive side. Obviously, we got to see Will Levis, although with him being in a new offense, as good as Brian Callahan's offense should be, obviously he's unproven, but we expect him to be kind of work in progress. The one thing I'm really I'm curious, and I would say even kind of worried right now, is Devondre Sweat, second round pick. He didn't have the best OTAs. He was injured for a good bit of it. There's also been questions about his conditioning. Can he make it playing in the NFL at the size he's at? That's going to be, he has to have a really good training camp. Second round pick, there's a lot of pressure on him. That's the biggest storyline, I think, right there. Can he put the kind of rough OTAs behind him and kind of take a step forward? And, good for him, as far as going on a field, playing next to a guy like Jeffrey Simmons will help him, but he's still got to be the player he is on his own. But I would say the big things I'm watching are, and also I should also mention the linebacker battles. I think right now it's pretty unclear what's going to happen. It seems like Kenneth Murray, who they signed, is something going to be starter, but do they give that other spot to Jack Gibbons or Cedric Gray? Probably going to be Jack Gibbons, just because Gray has no experience as a fourth round pick. Also, another question, I keep going with questions. Are the Titans going to make another signing at safety? Because they signed Jamal Adams.
Oh, yeah. That was, I know he's kind of like a little washed up, but.
He's not a little washed up. No, he's pretty washed up at this point. But, and he's only really a box safety. His issues in coverage are well documented. Do they roll the gut with Amani Hooker, Elijah Molden, and Jamal Adams, try and figure out there? Or do they go ahead and still sign another guy like Justin Simmons or Quandre Diggs? They've still been talking about that, even though they already signed Jamal Adams. So definitely, I think the biggest questions are right side of the offensive line, bottom of the receiver depth chart, Devondre Sweat himself, linebacker who gets that second spot, and does anything else happen at safety? I think
sounds like there's a lot of competition going on within the team, though. And when you got a young team that's rebuilding, you should expect that.
Absolutely, there's a lot going on, and again, I'll be there in person Saturday watching, so I can't wait.
I mean, I'm going into this Titan season with very low expectations. I want to see the team grow. I want to see the team. I want to see what the future looks like, kind of like how I felt towards the end of last season. I really want to see what kind of step forward Will Levis can take. I'm excited about some of the pieces they've picked up, but obviously I'm pretty realistic with the fact that they're got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to be done. They got a lot of weaknesses.
I feel honestly very comparable to the Titans this year. How I felt with the Preds last year, with so many new pieces coming in, new head coach, not a brand new GM, but a second-year GM, young quarterback, a lot of young pieces on this roster. There's certainly a ceiling, but again, realistically, it's going to take some time for the pieces to mesh together. And Grant, they have a tough opening part of the schedule, but I think the second part of the schedule, starting in November, allows the Titans to potentially, once they start to mesh a little better, to pick up some wins. So ultimately, I think it's going to be one of those teams. I think you're probably looking at like something like 7-10 or 8-9 this year, which isn't terrible, right. But you want, like you said, you want growth throughout the year. If you can,
so October 21st, October 21st, I got tickets given to me by by some friends down here. They cannot go. They gave me their season tickets to October 21st. Monday Night Football, Ravens and Buccaneers. Ooh. So I'll get to see Derrick Henry in person.
Oh my God!
And in purple Ravens. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be a Buccaneers fan that night. I want to see Derrick Henry do well, right? Because I respect that man so much, and he's just such an ambassador to everything that he's done for the city of Nashville, for the franchise. I hate that he had to go to the Ravens. I'm not going to cheer for the Ravens. I will never do that. But I can still cheer for the individual success of Derrick Henry, but the Ravens still go 0-17. I can still hope for that.
Ravens 0-17, Henry goes 3,000 yards.
Do the Titans and Ravens play this year?
No, they don't play this
Thank
year.
God.
I know.
I wouldn't be able to take that.
No, that I will say, though, what I was actually kind of scared for a bit, because for a while towards the end of last Titan, even going to the Titan season, I had internalized that's probably Henry's last year. But once free agency rolled around, they were grumbling he could have gone to the Texans. That I couldn't have.
That would have been worse. Because the Texans are probably going to be pretty good this year.
Yes, they are. And twice a year, Henry against us, I could not have dealt with that.
Yeah.
No.
But why couldn't he have gone to like some random NFC team that we don't even have to think? Like, why couldn't he have gone to like the Falcons or something? Some random team.
Well, the Falcons have Bijan Robinson. So
I know. Really I just threw out the first team I could think of. All right, fair enough. Love to get caught up on the Titans stuff there. Thanks for that, Max. All right, we are going to let everybody go. Again, take care of each other. Be kind to one another. Our amazing sponsors, BetterHelp and DraftKings, with the promo codes THPN. 10% off for your first month with BetterHelp. So make sure you take care of that. Take care of your mental health. It's very important. Absolutely. And until then, everybody, enjoy the rest of these dog days of the summer. We're around 2 months away until Preds training camp and Preds preseason. So we got a little bit of ways to go, but we will get there. I promise we'll make it there. Until then, we'll be with you every step of the way. All right, we're signing off. This has been Catfish and Ice episode 240 with Chad Minton and Max Greenberg. Take care, everybody.
See you guys later.